Hello folks, welcome back, and today we're gonna do something different and I want to jump start in that. So we're gonna build a real-time Python chat application and we're gonna use Python Flask framework and Flask SocketIO. This is cool, and what we're gonna build is going to be a pretty simple chat application that works, but maybe not going to be a feature rich application, but you can do whatever you want. You can take it further and make the next big thing in the history maybe. All right, so let's begin, and I just want to start coding up. So how are we gonna start? Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna design the interface that people call front-end design. So we're gonna design the app a little bit, and then we're gonna start coding. We're gonna start typing the code in Python, and we're gonna see how the socket thing works, all the things together, and at the end we're gonna have a beautiful one-to-one chat application. Wow. All right, so there will not be any private chat feature or something like that. It's up to you. You can comment your application, so I will be testing that and let you know. Wow, dude, that's congratulations. Okay, let's see the app demo that we're gonna build today. That'll be fun. If we kind of have a look what we're gonna build. So this is the chat application interface. You're gonna type in your name here and then your message here, and you send, and boom, your message up here, and this is another window. All right, so now let's chat and let's see what is going to be happen. Let's say this is Mark. Hi Hassan, that's me. Now press and send, and as you can see I have that message up here, and I also here, and let's say this is me. Hi Mark, and there we go. It works, right? So exactly that is what we're gonna build today, and at the end of the video, if you follow me along, you will have something like this exactly, and you can take it further. Again, I'm gonna close the browser window here. Okay, so let's begin. Now first up, we're gonna design the chat interface, so let's do this. So let's say chat app.py, and we need to import the Flask. All right, so before we're gonna do that, I think I forgot something really important. I'm gonna install all of the dependencies in a virtual environment. All right, let's do that first. I'm in that directory where my application exists, so I'm gonna use virtualenv. So let's say virtualenv, say nx, maybe whatever you want. All right, so we're done. Now we need to activate the virtualenv. So okay, so I think I need to open that directory using git bash. So let me open the git bash. And inside the git bash, let me access to the site, the directory where my app exists. All right, now let's say cd and x and scripts, or let's do this source activate. Now you have the nx, which is our virtual environment for this project, that has been activated. That's great. So now the first thing that we're gonna do is basically we're gonna install Flask. Flask, I think you already have some idea about Flask. Flask is a Python framework, pretty popular as well. So let's install Flask. It's pretty straightforward installing Flask. Simply pip install Flask. So I'm gonna do that, pip install Flask, and then we need to install the Flask SocketIO. Flask SocketIO is just like a SocketIO wrapper from the Node.js or Socket.io, something like that. So let's install this SocketIO. So basically our chat application will be using SocketIO, Flask SocketIO, to have the real-time communication. Pip install Flask SocketIO, and let's install that. And then we need to install the eventlet. So eventlet is a connection library for Python. So we just have to install eventlet. We don't have to configure eventlet at all. All will be done by the Flask SocketIO. Alright, so that's done, which is great. We're gonna print the hello world application using Flask. So let's do that. So from Flask, import Flask, and we can also use the render template because we want to render some templates. And then we need the Flask SocketIO. So from Flask underscore SocketIO, import SocketIO, and we can also import the emit. So emit is something that emit data, for example, that send data to according to its events. Let's instantiate the Flask app. So app equal Flask. Make it unique. Okay, so then we're gonna do what is SocketIO equals to. Now at this moment we're gonna wrap the Flask app instance using SocketIO wrapper. So we're not gonna use the Flask server directly. Instead we're gonna use the socketio.run. I'll let you show in a minute. So let's create a sample route here. So let's say app.route. Let's say define index. I'm going to simply return hello world. Now let's run the server. If now what we used to do is to run the Flask instance. Instead we're gonna run the SocketIO instance that we have here. SocketIO run. We're gonna run this app, and we're gonna also enable the debug to hot reload this project. Whenever we make some changes in the code, the server will automatically restart for this debug equal true. Yeah, so let's run this. Save that and come up here, Python chat.py, and okay, it basically works. The server has started and we have hello world, which is great. Yeah, so now what are you gonna do? We're gonna render a template instead of plain text. So we're gonna return render template. I want to call it like chat app page.html. Call it whatever you want. And let's create the template directory here, because Flask by default, take a look at the templates directory unless we configure it. I'm gonna create a new file called chat.page.html. Let's have the HTML soup my chat app, or whatever you're gonna call it. Alright, now let's try to refresh our project, and it works. Okay, now we're gonna have the bootstrap. We're gonna have bootstrap here. So I'm in the bootstrap page in the getting started option. So I'm gonna just copy the starting code, basic template. Okay, and I hope they have some CDN link here somewhere. They should, yeah, there we go. So let's copy the CDN and bootstrap CSS, and then we need the bootstrap JS. Yeah, so let's pull it in. Okay, now we have the bootstrap JS, we have jQuery, and we have Bootstrap CSS as well, which is great. Now let's design the chat app. This is a div of container fluid. Just to make it quick and looks simple. Div no message and say h1 no message. Yeah, add some color, style, color. Alright, no message yet, and inside of here I'm gonna create a new form. So let's type your message below. Type your message below. Span the clicicon. We're gonna add some icon. So I think it'd be great to have some icon. I love icons. What icon? I think we're gonna have some kind of arrow icon. Maybe arrow down. That would be great. Yeah. So span. So let's grab a form example, and there is forms, and I think I'm gonna use this form here. I just want to copy it, and let's say just paste it in here, quick fix, and then call it I'm gonna change it to text, and then call it username, and then what we need, change it, username, and make another form here, a little bit more room for us. Gonna call it message, message, and this is gonna be also text. What else we need to change? I think I would like to also add some class, so I can select this input using JavaScript, username, and I'm gonna call it message. Alright, and then I don't need the file input or even the checkbox, so I'm gonna delete them all. Now I have the button here. I'm gonna call it like send, and I think it's time for another icon here. Okay, now let's test our template here. Alright, so it's already looking great. Yeah, I think yes. How about having a green button here? So success, BTN success. Well, it looks stunning, right? And no message yet. Okay. And we have our username and we have our message, and I think we need some HR here, a divider basically after the message. So HR, and refresh the page, and looks great. So let's console log this form data using JavaScript, and I'm gonna use jQuery. Sorry guys if you're vanilla JavaScript lover. I think I'm gonna write the JavaScript in the same page for sake of simplicity. Alright, so let's begin. Okay, so let's say the first thing that you want to do, and I'll send the form submit. So while the form submit, we're gonna console log its data. So let's create that. So let's select the form. So it's a var form equal. So we have only one form, so I'm not doing a lot on selecting the form that we're looking for. we're gonna prevent the default action. Let's say var username, and remember the input field that takes the username, we add a class called the username. So I'm just selecting that input field using its class name called username. Input dot username and its value, and then another one which is for the message. So message, the input and its message and its value. All right, now I'm gonna console log in. Console log user underscore name and message. All right, now let's go back to the browser and let's see what we have. Refresh the page and a name and a message. Send, and oops, I got an error. Message is not defined. I think there's a typo in here. Refresh the page again. Gcursion, and that worked. This is my username and this is my message. Alright, so now it's time to pull up the SocketIO for our client. So let's add SocketIO from a CDN. I'm in CDN.js and looking for SocketIO. There I have it. I'm going to copy it with the script tag, and I'm going to copy it, paste it back up here. Oops. Alright, now what are we going to do? We're going to have a SocketIO instance for the client part for the JavaScript. SocketIO equal, let's rename it to socket so later we don't want confused. Copy that IP address and paste it up here, and there you go. And now we're gonna broadcast a message and we're gonna capture a message. So let's do a little bit commenting going here. So broadcast a message. So let's cast the socket. So let's say socket on connect. So connect is a socket event that occurs when a user connects to the network. Then this event raise, and we can capture this event and show a kind of like a alert or maybe some kind of message to the user that someone connected. And this is also a good way to test if the socket is working or not. So I'm gonna do that. Function. So let's say socket.emit. So now let's add a custom event. So let's call it whatever we want. I'm gonna call it my event. And on the second parameter, we're gonna pass the data that we are trying to pass, send to the server or whatever. So it's gonna be an object, and let's say data user connected. I go to the Python part, and here I need to receive this event and send it back to the server. Or we listen for an event is pretty simple in Socket Flask SocketIO. We need to use a magic function. SocketIO on my event. We're gonna define a method here, so let's call it handle my custom event. My custom event, and let's say we can always, let's say we're gonna assume that we're gonna have always a JSON response. For now, just print it. I'm gonna cast the JSON to a string, emit some response from the server. So let's do that. SocketIO emit and semi-response. So it's like sending a new message from the server to this event. In our case, we're gonna call it my response. All right, so let's save it. And in our client side, let's capture the message in our client that are being sent from server. So I'm going to capture message, socket on, my response, anonymous function. I'm going to in the callback, I'm going to take the message from server, and let's just console log the message for now. And then I think now we can test. Alright, so let's go back to our chat app, refresh the page, and as you can see, already a user has connected. So for example, let me pull up another browser and let me go to this URL. And as you can see, there is another console log here that another user has been connected. So now we have 2 users connected. So it's already working. Great. Okay. So I should change the title. However, so in here, when we submit that, we're gonna emit that like this, socket.emit, and our event was called my event. So emit is basically allow us to emit any events to both the client and the server. And on the second parameter, I'm gonna pass a object. So it's gonna call username. Let's just call a user and user name, and called message. Save that, and then let's go back in our browser, refresh the page, type in something here, and as you can see, we have the message in the console that we passed from here. Now while we submit a form, I also want to empty the message field. So and also want to focus automatically, so you don't have to take your cursor to the field and click on that. Let's refresh that again. Hey there. That's a typo. That's a typo. As you can see in my console, I have that message. So let's add this data in our chat app. If we have some message, let's say if type of message dot user is not equal undefined, that means we have a message. Then we're gonna remove the h1, remove, and we need to add a message wrapper. So it's a message. Copy that, and we will append all the new data in our message wrapper DOM. message bubble, and in the message bubble I have a B for the username. So message dot name user, and then we're gonna have a message here. I'm gonna call it, give a space here, then again we're gonna concat the string. So message dot message. So we're simply appending all the new message in our DOM in the message wrapper. Let's save the code and hit refresh, and we got a syntax error. Sorry. Okay, now it's gone. That's great. Let's call Hassan. Hi there. It worked. It worked. Cool. Now what do we want to do? So let's say add some style here. Let's say in here, what was our div? We call message BBL. Say background color D. Padding is, let's say 5 pixel and 10 pixel, and let's say border radius 10 pixel. Color is little deep, yeah. Margin bottom, let's say 5 pixel. I think that'll be enough for us. Let's refresh the page and do this one more time. Now that looks great, and now let's test it in another browser. Alright, let's have some discussions. Let's say this is Mark Zuckerberg. Hey Hassan. How's my Snapchat clone? Bad dude. Alright, so it's working. So I uploaded the code in GitHub, and I'll put the link in the description of the video, and I hope you get the idea. A very basic chat application though, but I hope you get the idea and you can extend it as you want to go further. That's all for today, and if you have any questions in your mind, go ahead and ask a question in the comment section. You can also ask a question at prism.com. I'll answer that, and also you can tweet me at my Twitter handle. Again, thanks for watching the video. If it helps, subscribe, and also let me know your thoughts in the comments. So thanks.